Hey guys, how's it going? This is author Daniel Coolbaugh here. I also run the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast, so feel free to check that out. We're about to drop season 6 here, really like the middle of next month in August. So I want to talk today, continue to talk about the Iron Druid Chronicles, and talk about Kevin Hearne, who's an amazing author. I did do an overall series review, just a quick one. I did one on Hounded, so check that out. I did one on Hex and Hammered, and then now we're on Tricked. All right. So the blurb for this one is Druid Atticus O'Sullivan hasn't stayed alive for more than 2 millennia without a fair bit of Celtic cunning. So when vengeful thunder gods, north by southwest, looking for payback, Atticus, with a little help from the Navajo trickster god Coyote, lets them think they've chopped up his body in the Arizona desert. But the mischievous Coyote is not above a little sleight of paw, and Atticus soon finds that he's been duped into battling bloodthirsty desert-shaped shapeshifters called skinwalkers. Just when the druid thinks he's got a handle on all the duplicity, betrayal comes from an unlikely source. If Atticus survives this time, he vows he won't be fooled again. Famous last words. So I really enjoyed this book. Obviously, it's Iron Druid Chronicles and Kevin Hearne, but I liked Kevin's versions of Skinwalkers. Pretty unique compared to Skinwalkers by Faith Hunter and her Skinwalkers. So I love that in urban fantasy we can get two similar, stories about skinwalkers, let's say, but they're very different. I think that's what makes urban fantasy really fun. Like vampires, werewolves, like whatever, giants, whatever, fae, everybody always, uses these tropes, but they use them in such unique ways or their own perspective. I don't know, it just adds a really cool uniqueness, I think, to urban fantasy that I think is just really fun. And you'll see that difference if you check out my Junkyard Druid, the first installment of MD Massey's Connor McCool series. And it's really good. And it's just so interesting to, see druids done similarly, but also, so differently within the urban fantasy systems that these two authors have created. I think it's really, really, really interesting. I'm sorry, I said Connor. I meant Colin McCool, the Paranormal Suspense series by MD Massey. I'm reading another book where there's another druid named Connor. It's getting difficult to tell them apart now. But it's interesting to see, the similarity in terms of spells, magic systems, things like that, but also how different these things are. I feel like in terms of Kevin and MD's books with the druid system, like they'll cast these smaller spells in particular, and I like how both of them have crafted their magic system. And I don't know, I've seen druids done Forgotten Realm style, I've seen them done Dragonlance. I've seen them done in so many different ways. I was just talking about this earlier on my podcast channel, the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast, just discussing this type of thing with different classes that I enjoy with L Lions. And that's going to be a pretty early episode. I think it's season 6, episode 8. So check that out. Her books sound amazing. I really can't wait. But we were discussing Paladins, and I discussed Paladins with Ingrid Moon too for our second interview of overall for my podcast. So check that out as well. Ingrid's an amazing author, and she has a fantasy book coming out. And both of them, like I talked about, rogues, druids, paladins, rangers. And it's so interesting to me, again, to see how people do these types of classes or their subclasses or similar ones in urban fantasy. I have my own monster hunter, and I kind of consider him like the ranger of the crew, I would say, but I'm changed a little bit for this urban fantasy setting. So I've always really liked that. And Kevin does an amazing job of making his druid system unique, and making Atticus's powers really cool. We get to expand on them some more, which is super cool. We get to see more of the druid process, and get to a little trickle into how he was trained, who was trained by, those kind of things. And I loved Kevin's version of Coyote. Just super cool, like Patricia Briggs. Mercy Thompson. Mercy is actually runs in a coyote a lot. That's all I'm going to say, and for particular reasons. And I love how Patricia writes coyote, but I really enjoy how Kevin writes coyote. Both very similar, in terms of like the roots of the coyote, the god and the mythological figure, both with the Navajo and all these other tribes and things like that on the Southwest and in the Midwest. A couple trickles out here towards the like Florida and stuff like that. And that's a very far-reaching being in supernatural, in Native American supernatural lore mythology. So it's really cool. I think that they're both tapping into different veins there and being able to still come up with a coyote, but also to come up with a really interesting character all on their own using that mythology. And that's what I really liked about both series. And I really like that here. These are two coyotes that I enjoyed the most, I'd say, out of urban fantasy, and I feel like I see him quite a bit. So both Kevin and Tricked and Patricia Briggs in her series, I really love how they display coyote. River Marked by Patricia Briggs was especially good with that. And then she uses a lot of like coyotes mythology and stuff. And I thought they both did a great job, but it really expands coyote in Kevin's series here in Tricked with that character, and Coyote will pop up a couple more times, and just always a super interesting character. We get to learn a little bit more about secondary characters within this book, which I thought was really cool, and I really like that from Hounded to Tricked, including Hex and Hammered in between. Like, it's cool because we're always getting more and more of those secondary characters, and they're so interesting right off the bat, but then to slowly get more, it's like a painting, right? Like a paint by color. The more you see of them, the more you enjoy them. And that's what I think he really brings to the table here. It wasn't just Atticus's expansion into the main quest, I would say, or story arc, and getting pushed further and further into the things and machinations that'll happen into the last book until the climax and resolution. But it really, like, I don't know, it's hard to be like, book one was great, book two was great, book three was great, and then book four was great. Like, this is one of the only series where I'm like, I don't think I read one where I wasn't like, oh, this was amazing. I read a series recently where it's very popular, urban fantasy, and I did not like the last book as much as the other ones. Like, every other one I felt was like really, really good and going like this, and then the last one I read was kind of dipped for me. And then and I've heard that for a few people. There were some things I just didn't quite like as the other ones. Again, it was a 4.5 out of 5 read because the author is amazing, but I never had that problem with any of the Iron Druids or Kevin's books. So I was surprised when I got from Hounded to Hexed, and I was like, dang, where is book 5? Like, I was just ready to go. And I went to the bookstore with my now wife. We were dating at the time, and I was like, I got to go get the next book. I went and grabbed the next book and read it within, a few days. So I definitely think you guys should check out Tricked. Like I said, if this is the first video you've seen, check out Hounded, and then Hexed and Hammered were amazing. And I really loved Tricked. And I really love how Tricked ended, because I immediately had to go the next day and buy the next book. So I really hope you guys, do the same. And please, if you've read any of Kevin's books, if you've read Tricked or Hounded or any of them, please let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys, thought. Please subscribe and share for this channel. I'm just trying to get my author stuff out there, but also get you guys some amazing urban fantasy recommendations as well. So hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And as always, happy reading, my friends. See you guys later.